Welcome to the Osogovo YouTube channel. My name is Sam, back again on Sam Gale Talks. This time I am joined by Charlton and Wales defender Tom Lockyer. Tom, thank you for coming on.
No, pleasure, mate. Not a lot else to do in these strange times, is there? So I thought I'd break up the day a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just how has isolation and been for yourself and your family?
I think the main thing is no one I know has been affected, so I can't really complain too much on that front. Would I like it to get back to normal? Yes. I think everyone else would as well, but at the end of the day, while it's still affected so many people and so many families, I can't see it getting back to normal anytime soon, if I'm being honest. But yeah, it's just just nice to have a bit of time off. But yeah, I think everyone's rearing to go again, isn't they?
Of course. And obviously, you as professional footballers, your team has to keep the maintenance of fitness as well. How's that been?
Yeah, it's been alright. To be fair, we get sent programs every day of what to do and what times and kilometres we need to be hitting, how many high speed meters we need to do and whatnot. And then before the lockdown, we were supposed to be travelling to Hull on a Friday, and they called it off. And yeah, I thought, if we're going home now, let's nick a few weights from the gym. And so I've got a few weights back home now with me, so I can do that. I'm not just like doing press ups and sit ups, like bored out of my mind. So we can mix up a little bit, but yeah, it's not the same as a real thing, is it?
Yeah, of course. And then how are you communicating with your teammates as well? Obviously, you look at the squad you're in, and they're quite experienced anyway. So they obviously, you can't expect a professional footballer to know instantly how to keep fit. But how are your fellow teammates getting on?
No, I think we're all good. We got a good sports science department at Charlton who look after everyone. There's no stone unturned there. I've spoken to a few boys at other clubs, and they're not doing half the things we're doing. So yeah, but it's not just being flat out running. We had a 2-week break in between because they weren't sure when we were going back, so they didn't want to beast us all the way through. So yeah, I was getting better times before the 2-week break, let me tell you. But yeah, no, it's good. I think we're in safe hands, and if anything, yeah, be coming back a bit stronger.
Brilliant. So we're going to move into your career now. We'll start off as a young boy in Cardiff. What attached your interest to football? Obviously, was it Cardiff City your team, or was it a different team in Wales?
Yeah, no. I was born in Cardiff, and I grew up in Fairwater, in Cardiff. And back then, it was literally like, how it is. There was an estate, and there was a group of kids, and what it was to do was like just play football and build dens and play mob and stuff like that. But obviously, I was the youngest by quite some time, and I had an older brother. Who was a bit more streetwise than that, but like I must have been 4 or 5 playing with kids who were 12, 13, and on them estates there was loads of times where I came back home crying to my mum saying like they're bullying me or like they was rough on me in the game, and it was one of them things where like it was kind of like, well, man up and get yourself out there, like otherwise you're gonna have no mates. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I had to learn the hard way, but I think like even back then playing with the older lads helped me, and then that physical game was part and parcel of the game. I didn't like step into men's football and then be like, oh, this is physical, because really when I was 4 or 5, I was up against, do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it started way back then, and it was actually one of the lads on the estate. He had an under-9s team. His old man ran Grangetown. I think it was Grangetown. I don't know what it was, Grangetown FC or something. And I think I was 6 at the time. And he said, we've seen him play in the street. Like, does he want to come down and play for us? So that was my first taste of like proper football, and I loved it and couldn't get enough of it. And then my parents ended up moving house, so then joined the local team over there, and stayed with them all the way through until I signed for Cardiff.
So what was it like, obviously, at Cardiff? That would have been your first sort of taste of youth football. What was it like? Obviously, a step up from just playing on a Sunday league pitch.
Yeah, no. So I was 12 when I joined the academy, and I was with the development squad before that as well. So it was just my life really. I didn't really have a lot else going on, and it was all I wanted to do. And it wasn't like a chore to my mum to like drag me to training or anything, because I wanted to go. And I think when you've got that enthusiasm and drive, obviously a little bit of talent and the right coaches along the way, it's going to help you, innit? So that was good. And then got released from there when I was 15. And they said, yeah, you're not big enough, you're not strong enough. And I was the academy manager at Cardiff at the time, Neil Ardley. And then I joined Bristol Rovers, and it was a tough scholarship, if I'm being honest. When I joined, I signed for Darren Patterson, who was the under-18s manager at the time, and during the transition from the summer to the next season, he'd left and he was replaced by Jamie Fullerton, another one who's had a career in the game. And he came in, and it was kind of like an army camp. It was like it was not enjoyable. It was, do you know what I mean? And it was running all the time. You weren't allowed your hands in your pockets. You weren't allowed to walk around the building. You had to be jogging. And it was just really bad, and I wasn't enjoying it. And I remember, obviously, it's only Bristol. I rang my mum up and said, like, Mum, I don't think I can do this anymore. I'm not enjoying it. And the whole reason I was doing football is because I was enjoying it. If that's gone, I don't see why I'm still here. So she came over, sat down with me, and said, like, what's going on? And I just said, like, everything I do, he seems to have a go at me. Like, I can't do no right. Like, even some of the other lads do worse things than me. He doesn't say anything to them. I feel like he's picking on me, kind of thing. So she was like, yeah, that's fine. What do you want to do? I was like, well, I'll go back and do A-levels. I'd 11 GCSEs or whatnot. So like, I was all right to go and do that. And then my dad rang me up that night after my mum got home and said, like, look, I understand like where you're coming from, because it's not the first time you've said it, but there's loads of other boys who would give their left arm to be in the position you're in. Yeah. So if you want to do it, obviously me and your mum will support you 100%, but don't do it without having to talk to him first and see where he's coming from. So then the next day, I'm like, yeah, sound, Dad. Like, I'll speak to him and let him know. So I'm like packing my bag the night before, thinking I'm going to speak to him tomorrow, and that's going to be it. So I went and seen him, obviously shitting myself because I was scared to death of him. He's like an army officer. And I just said, like, I ain't enjoying it. You're on me all the time. Nothing, I can do no right. And he said to me, oh, I'm so sorry you feel like that. But like, it's only you and another that I'm like that with. And he was like, do you know why? And I was like, no. And he's like, because you two are the only two I can really see making it. Wow. So instantly I've gone from like, I'm quitting, I'm done with football, to like, oh, hold on here, I've got a chance here. So I went from almost quitting to on top of the world. So then the scholarship breezed by, and I speak about it now with like the other boys who went through the same thing. And I'll say, like, it either makes you or breaks you. And it did break a few boys. There was a few quitters along the way, and I was almost one of them. But yeah, I really think that was like the making of me. And it really prepared you. And obviously you can't see it at the time, because you're in that bubble and you're thinking, oh, he's on me again, we have to run again. But when you look back at it, you think, I wonder where I'd be if he wasn't the manager now. If he wasn't the manager back then, where would I be now? And who knows? But yeah, really, I think at the time it was hard to see, but that really was the making of me, I think.
Absolutely. You say obviously you were literally about to go back and do your A-levels, and it could have just been a miscommunication. You actually went back and thought, oh God, what is he going to say? And what was it like when he said, well, actually, I only do it because I think you're going to make it. What was that for you? That's huge for any sort of player, isn't it?
Yeah, it was massive, because I've gone from the brink of like, I'm hating it, I'm not enjoying it, I don't see the point in it. Like, do you know what I mean? And then he's gone from that to like, I went in a meeting with my head down, like, I'm out of here, kind of thing. So like coming out of the meeting, bubbling and buzzing, and straight on the phone to me dad, like, Daddy reckons I can do it. Like, that's why he's on me. So yeah, there's just a complete switch like that, and that's all he had to say. And yeah, I think if I ever go into management or coaching, then that's something I can learn from. Obviously, being tough on the players, but you have to try and let them know that it's all for a reason as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you have to live away from home?
Yeah, so I moved over. There was a geezer I went to school with and was in Cardiff with as well. Got released at the same time. So we both moved to Bristol together, and we lived together. We're in digs. So that was all right, to be fair. And obviously, it's only an hour away from Cardiff, so it's like you could get home whenever you wanted. If like some of your mates were like having a birthday party or something like that. But yeah, I think like the more I went home, the more I realised that like if I wanted to make it, then I couldn't hang around with like my mates too often, because they were like leading a different path from where I wanted to go. And I think as like a 16, 17-year-old, it's very easy to get drawn in and persuaded into like going down that path of going out every night. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, but I think I'd go back to even before that. Like, I used to have training for Cardiff on a Friday night, and they'd all be down the park drinking and smoking and that, and I'd pop by and I'd run down the park and see them all, and they'd have a drink and that, and I'd be like, no, like, and then I'd run back for training and stuff like that. But it's like nice to always have like your mates there, but obviously you have to know where the distance is, and I was so focused on making it football wise that I didn't want to get drawn into that, because I always thought there's plenty of time for that after football if that's what I wanted to do. But at the meantime, I'm going to give my 100% to football, and if it doesn't work out, at least I won't have any regrets saying, oh, I wish I'd done that, or I wish I'd done this. So yeah, that's probably my point of view with that.
Yeah, of course. And then you obviously you went through the youth team at Bristol, and then you played for Bristol Rovers in League Two, was it? I believe that you made your debut in League Two. What was that like as a young player? Just because in League Two it must have been really difficult to instantly come into it, or did you feel like it was natural?
No, it was a weird one actually. It was Fleetwood away, and John Ward was the manager, and he'd not long taken over. And Ellis, who I lived with, Ellis Harrison, great mate of mine.
I was going to get onto him, funnily enough.
Yeah. Great mate of mine. He started his first game, Fleetwood away, and I was on the bench with Alfie Santos, who was a left winger, and Ellis was playing left wing, and he played unbelievable, to be fair. The boys were 3-0 up, and there was like 10 minutes to go, and he was cramping all over. And he's lying down, and he's have to come off, and me and Alfie are warming up, and I can see John Ward like giving it that down the side, so I'm like tapping Alfie, seeing Ellis is down on the floor, like, left winger Alfie, get yourself on, pal, well done. And Alfie's ran over, and he's gone, no, Tom. So I'm thinking like, oh, like, it was like it was like so scary, but like surreal at the same time. For some reason, I just thought the worst. I can't know. Like, I just got so nervous. And I went on for like, I think it was the last 10 minutes, something like that. Didn't end up touching the ball. And we ended up winning 3-0 still. So, yeah, it was a nice introduction. And then I had to go back with the youth team, and it just made me hungrier for more then. And I think, the development coach Marcus Stewart came in. Obviously, he's had a great career in the game himself. He came in as almost like the transition between the first team and the under-18s. And I think for me, at that time, it was perfect. He came in, obviously being in the game, he knew what he was like in the change rooms and whatnot. And he installed some things that I'll take with me through my career till I retire. Do you know what I mean? So I look back at it now, and I just think like so many things fell into place for me. I'm not saying I wouldn't have made it if all these things didn't happen, but I do think there was a lot of luck along the way, and it was all for the best, I think.
all character building.
Yeah, a lot of that. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, we had great times in the youth team. I'm sure anyone who's in the youth team knows what I'm on about. But I think the end goal was always firmly in the sight for me, and not to get carried away.
Yeah, and then obviously you went on to play 280 odd games for Bristol Rovers, and you captained them as well. Did you envisage ever even surpassing the numbers you got? Obviously, in that first 10 minutes, you're obviously hungry, but after what time in that sort of period did you feel, oh, I'm actually in now? Like I'm sort of cemented in the team.
I think. Well, I always said, me and my old man sat down after I signed like one of my first deals, and I had to do the press after, and I remember saying in the press like. He's like, what's your ambitions now? Like, obviously, you've had a few appearances, you're signing a new deal. What's the next can we expect from you? I just remember just saying, like, I just want to be the first name on the team sheet every week. No more, no less. Like, that's what I'm going to aim to do. And I think I've done that. I started the next season then. John Ward, I came on in the first game, and then I started the League Cup game against Watford. In centre mid, and I played a handful of games for centre mid for the under-18s, but then to go and do it for League 2 against all the other teams and all the pressure in front of all the fans was crazy. And then I had done all right, to be fair. That was the way John Ward liked to play. That's another thing. Do you know what I mean? He liked to play with a sitter centre mid, and if there was another manager in charge at the time, who knows? Do you know what I mean? So. I ended up playing pretty much a full season there, and then we ended up getting relegated down to the conference. And I think when we were in the conference, then that was when I almost thought like, okay, that's 50 games first season done. Okay, I'm a regular now. But it wasn't like, oh yeah, I've made this now. It was kind of like, I'm a regular, but let's get the boys promoted. Like, do you know what I mean? Played right back that season, so I done centre mid, right back, and then it took me after the promotion that year, League 2. That's when I ended up playing centre back, obviously my preferred position, and then managed to nail that one down. Then,
yeah, and then obviously going back to the promotion season, that was you went to Wembley in the playoff final, didn't you? For played Forest Green. Is it Forest Green?
We played Forest Green in the playoffs first and second leg, and then we played Grimsby in Wembley.
Yes, yeah. And then you obviously had a good team with Chris. I believe Chris Lyons was in there. He's at Northampton now, isn't he? And then there was a couple of other really good players. It went to penalties. Did you ever think, oh, I'd love to take the penalty, or were you like, I'm out of it?
Nah. We done penalties the day before. And not for me. I think I was seventh. And when Lee Mansell went up at 5 to win it for us, I turned to Andy Monkhouse and I said, Monks, I said, honestly, you better score because I'm number 7 and I don't want a penalty. And he turned to me and he said, "You're 7, I'm 6, mate. You better score."
I was watching the video back, and the goal looks so massive. But obviously, as a player walking up, I can't think of what could go through your head at this time. Obviously, I was speaking to another player that's gone up through to League Two, and just looking at like the people in the crowd at that sort of level. There's people like staff and others. It's their life, isn't it? Really, the be all and end all is the club, and if you miss or you don't get it, it's obviously devastating.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you can see there's loads of teams that have fallen down to non-league, and if they don't come back at the first time, you can end up struggling there for a few years. And us going back at the first time and getting relegated in the first place was probably the best thing to happen to Bristol Rovers in my time there. Club in the League Two season when we got relegated was acid. There's a lot of players on quite good money who brought absolutely nothing to the team and were a bit acid in the change rooms as well. So for us to go down and let them jump ship and not get offered new deals and whatnot, and basically for the club to hit rock bottom, and then the building job Darryl Clark done was phenomenal. And I think the best thing he done was obviously he brought in good footballers, but he brought in good characters as well. Just the other day, I got sent a video the night before Wembley. Obviously, night before Wembley, we're in the hotel down in London, and I don't know what you'd think. Maybe you'd think, the team would be a bit quiet because we're nervous and that. But I got sent a video. There's 5 of us doing a song about all the lads just taking the piss out of everyone, and everyone's in absolute tears and crying and laughing. And I think that just shows the team spirit we had that season. And yeah, obviously there would have been a bit of nerves about the game, but don't get me wrong, we were confident we were going to win that. Wasn't an arrogance as such, but even when we went 1-0 down, it wasn't the end of the world. Like, do you know what I mean? You go 1-0 down within the first 5 minutes of the game, and obviously our crowd have gone silent, and we're thinking, "Oh my God, here we go!" Like, but nah, it wasn't that. I knew anyway. I knew we were going to get promoted that day. Why hook or crook, we were going to go up.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And then obviously you went into League Two, and then you captained Bristol Rovers. What was it like? Obviously captaining the side, and also was it a case of repaying the faith that the manager put in you?
Yeah, it was when he told me. He said, like, next season you're going to be my captain, and I was kind of like, why? Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, it was like, obviously he'd seen something in me that I hadn't seen in myself by then. And don't get me wrong, it was hard at the start. Like, it doesn't come with a manual saying do this, do that, hold team meetings, speak to the manager, be the link between everyone. Like, but yeah, to be fair, as a manager, Darryl Clark, he's fantastic. I can't give him enough credit for the job he done at Bristol Rovers, and I have no doubt he'll be successful in the game. And yeah, like I said, I think he saw it in me before I even knew I had it. Yeah, I obviously just grew into it. Wasn't something I was looking for or wanted to have. But something when he said it, I was kind of like, oh, like, okay then. But yeah, the faith he showed in me, not even just through that, but throughout all my time with him, been fantastic. And there's another one. Where would I be today if he wasn't in charge? Who knows? But I'm thankful I was there. And the two promotions, the way we went up in the 2 promotions, obviously last kick of the game, and then the next one was like basically last kick of the game as well in normal time to go up that way. To be able to share them with such a great group of lads, and especially the manager and management team, were unbelievable as well. And I remember Steve Mildenhall at the time saying, like, I've been in football for like 15 years or whatever he is, like the dinosaur he is, the old, and he said, like, I've never been in a team with team spirit like this. And obviously I'd only had the 1 year with the League Two relegation, Bristol Rovers, and so I only really knew like the two ends of it, like horrible team spirit and unbelievable, and I was almost taking it for granted. But yeah, I think when you have a team spirit like that, it's worth so many points in a season that people don't realise.
Oh, absolutely. And obviously, you say about the squad. Who was in that squad, and do you still obviously keep in touch with those? You touch upon Ellis Harrison, who's at Portsmouth now.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's Lee Mansell. You got Matty Taylor, Ollie Clark, obviously still at the Gas. The core group of them players was fantastic, and to have a core group of that, it was like a mix of experience and youth, but everyone got on so well. And yeah, like that, like going into work every day, you were buzzing. Like one day, someone would owe someone a fiver, and you'd turn up and the car would be getting towed away by a tow truck, or it'd be up on the brackets, with the wheels taken off and the wheels in the middle of the football pitch. Like, do you know what I mean? Every day was something new, and yeah, it was brilliant.
But would you say Ellis Harrison is your closest friend in football?
Yeah, I've got a few. He's definitely up there. But yeah, there's definitely a few from Bristol Rovers during that time period. It's fantastic. We got some great memories together. And then obviously going with the Wales boys as well. Brooksy and Con are probably my closest mates there, and that's like another kids camp as well. That's just like full of laughs and giggles as well. But yeah, I think it's always better when it's that way anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And then obviously you made your way from Bristol to Charlton. What attracted you to go to the Valley? Obviously, it's a great setup they've got there.
Yeah, it's a fantastic club. When I was sitting down with other teams and speaking to the manager and that, they will do the meeting I came out of with other managers compared to when I came out of with Lee Bowyer and Steve Gallen was stark contrast. So for me, after that meeting was kind of like it was pointless. I'd made my mind up after that meeting. It was pointless for me to go and see anyone else, even though my agent made me go and sit down with the other managers, just to see like whether like there's something better. Someone else says something that you might like, which is probably the right way to do it. But for me, I think after that meeting with them two, my mind was firmly made up.
And obviously now you've played the games you have 30 plus in the Championship. Do you feel like you've settled into the team now?
Yeah, obviously it's another good group of players, very welcoming and easy to get along with. Lots of laughs every day as well. But yeah, is it 30 games? I didn't even know. But I think, yeah, for me coming in this season was to try and get as many games under my belt for Charlton and do as best as I can. Obviously, the step up has been a bit hit and miss. Sometimes I feel good, sometimes I feel miles off it. But I think in general, it's been all right. A few more goals would have been nice. Definitely have the chances to score a few more. So yeah, that's the one thing I think I need to work on a bit more.
Yeah, of course, and obviously I've looked at my notes. It's 34 games you've played. I think it's all competitions as well. But your goal against West Brom, we'll go on to. Obviously, when that goes in, is it more of a relief, or what are the emotions going through your head? Because obviously there was a few opinions on whether it was an own goal or whoever was in goal, Johnston, I'm guessing, had palmed it into his own goal or whatever?
I just think, like, if you can't see that's my goal, then you're blind.
It definitely
really.
was your goal.
Nah. I think I'm pretty sure the head of media at Charlton has said it has gone down as my goal.
No.
I'm not sure why the keeper would want to claim that. Not sure if I pissed off at Sky to give it to him, but yeah, it's obviously my goal, isn't it? It obviously. I thought it was mine straight away. I had one at Leeds as well that was exactly the same. It went down to someone else's goal. But yeah, I think I'm going to have to score one soon with his, no doubt. And then I can celebrate properly.
And then obviously playing in the Championship, what has it been like? Obviously, there's so many different teams with, like you say, the Leeds and the West Broms that have been in the Premier League, all the way down to the Lutons that have been in League Two and below. What has it been like playing in the different stadiums and things?
No, it's been good. First year in the Championship for me. I think the League Two and the League One grounds, I've done them all. But I think in the Championship, there's no easy game. That's the thing. When we were at Bristol Rovers Conference and League Two, especially, you could turn up to games and roll over people quite easily. And I think in the Championship, that doesn't really happen as much. Obviously, you get the freak scores where every shot seems to go in. But I think on a whole, like you wouldn't look at someone down the bottom and go, "Oh, that's an easy game." Just like us, Charlton. Now, I don't think we've lost to the top six this season. Where I think, but then we always struggle with the teams around us, which is a bit weird, isn't it? But that just goes to show what it's like, doesn't it? Drew with Fulham both times, West Brom as well. Leeds beat Leeds, beat Brentford. It just goes to show that there is no easy game. That's probably what I'd have taken from my first year in the Championship.
Of course, and obviously the Championship, for people that know the Championship properly, you look at it and think it's probably the hardest league to get out of in terms of second division. And also the squad you have at Charlton is like anybody. Personally, I'm shocked as to the position why you guys are in with the players you have. What has the morale been like in the team?
We had a bad run where we had I think it was like 15 first team players injured. And when you have a squad the size of Charlton who don't have a massive squad, that's going to affect a lot in it. So obviously that was a massive loss, and I think we won like one game in like 16 while we had that everyone on the injury bed. So obviously that doesn't help. But the team spirit could never be questioned really, because it's great in trading positive vibes. No one was ever coming in depressed or down. But then if something needs to be said, then it gets said. After a game, someone wants to have a go at someone, then it happens. Just because we're all mates doesn't mean that it's friendly all the time. If something needs to go down, then it will. But then come again by Monday morning, it's forgotten about, which is the way it should be. And I don't think the team spirit could be questioned.
And I'm sure Lee Bowyer tells you his thoughts when in any situation. But what has it been like playing under Lee?
Yeah, it's been. Well, I'll just say my first opinion was that every time we lose, he's gonna go absolutely mental. But that's not the case. He likes to dissect things a bit more than what obviously like the persona from his playing career. It's different. But no, obviously I love playing under him. He's another manager who we get on really well with. So yeah, I can't really complain.
And then obviously you've spoken about Lee Bowyer and a couple of other managers that you've played under. Have you got an aspiration of going into possibly coaching, or is that out of your head at the moment? It's just a case of you're playing and see where life takes you, really.
My old man's always on to me about what you're going to do after football. It doesn't last forever. Do you know what I mean? So started the B license course because I think for me, I'd like to be maybe an academy or under 18 somewhere and help progress players and improve players. I think that's what I'd get my most joy out of. Don't think first team's really for me. The amount of pressure and stress that goes into it. I don't think that one's for me. But obviously, to bring players through and see them go and progress their own careers and have a career in the game, I think that would bring me more joy. So yeah, B license is what I'm working towards at the minute, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, and then obviously internationally, you've played for Wales. What has that been like for yourself? Obviously, the team is a brilliant team. Obviously, they'd come off the back of the Euros as well. What is it like joining that team?
Yeah, first of all, it was surreal, to be honest, because when they were at the Euros, I was at the fan park with my mates, just going absolutely mental every time we scored and won, like launching beers in the air and stuff like that. I think I was League 2 at the time, thinking like, this is crazy what they're doing for the nation. I was a fan. I was just the biggest fan ever. And yeah, and then to actually get a call up to go and join them was so surreal. But like, obviously you're seeing like all your idols and people you've grew up watching, and like some of the best players in the world just like walking past you in the corridors, and you kind of think like, wow, like he's my teammate now. And it's a bit surreal, to be honest. But obviously, the more time you're there, and then when you start actually playing as well, you start to feel a bit more part of it. And then that's like another big family, another great team spirit. Everyone gets on, and yeah, like my nan was so patriotic. She used to have red dragons all over her house. So like every time I play for Wales now and the anthem goes, I just think of her, and it wells me up a little bit. But yeah, I was saying to the missus the other day, I said, we watched the Euros, the Wales documentary, their trip at the Euros, and I was getting emotional and watching that and thinking, wow, that is so good. I wish I was a part of that. And I just said to her, like, honestly, I don't think there's any better feeling than playing for your country. And don't get me wrong, I'd like to find a better feeling, but I haven't found one yet.
In terms of like football, it's probably the pinnacle of your career, isn't it? Playing for your country at any sort of level as well, because you're representing that country.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, it started Ninian Park, Millennium Stadium, going down watching John Toshak, John Hartson in his tight red Kappa kit, Ryan Giggs, all them players, and just being a fan again. Just loved football, loved sport. Never did I think like, oh, I'm going to do that one day, or like start setting goals like, well, I'm going to play for Wales one day. It was never like that, because I was always just a fan who just loved football and was all right at playing it. So to actually get 10 international appearances under my belt, something no one can ever take away from me, and it's probably brought me the most pride in my career so far.
We've obviously spoken about your debuts at Bristol Rovers, but what was it like playing at the Cardiff City Stadium? Obviously, it's probably a completely different ball game to coming on in League 2 as opposed to an international game.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I learned that at the under 21s first, where obviously League 2 and Conference and what I'd been playing was kind of like boot it long and rush but boot and rush and press people and get the ball back. Whereas I think my under-21s was first game was against Denmark, and in the week we were working on shape, and it was kind of like the back line is like a mid block, and like we don't press, we let them come to us and then we press. And I was thinking like, well, this is different. I've never done this before. I think internationals is a bit more like that. But yeah, it's good, and I do enjoy it. But yeah, it was a mad contrast from what I was used to at the time, for sure.
You obviously touch upon the League Two and Conference. You hoop it long, and obviously the striker has to get onto it. And then how has your attributes got better since moving into the Championship and international games? Because it seems that the modern day centre half is more looking to play. Obviously, they still play long ball, but they're more like a defensive midfielder, as opposed to they're trying to keep it on the floor and play out.
Oh, well, you obviously haven't watched me play then. I just boot it.
I was watching some of your highlights, and I was like, that's probably one of your better things, I think, your long-range passing. But, yeah, obviously, you keep the roots from League Two.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, when it's on to play, we play. When it's not, we don't. But yeah, it's one of them things. You adapt or you get left behind. So yeah, no.
Yeah, you can hoof it long to Gareth Bale now, as opposed to Alex Harrison.
Hey, nothing wrong with me, Mucker Ellis.
I've watched him. Obviously, I live in Portsmouth, so I've been able to watch him a couple of times. He seems like a good laugh as well, Ellis.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's great. Never a dull moment with him. Never.
Yeah, and obviously, I was just looking at the thing behind you. Is that your cap from your debut for Wales?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. I just have to check then.
If there was a player, past or present, that you could play with now, either as a centre back partner or anybody on the pitch, who would it be?
Oh, God knows. You'll put me under pressure here. God knows. I don't even know, to be honest.
Fair enough.
I'm not sure.
And who? Obviously, this is another hard question. But what are your most fond memories of playing in your career? Was it just the debuts, or was it more so the international games you play?
For me, qualifying for the Euros against Hungary at the Cardiff City Stadium, obviously massive night for the nation. Being from Cardiff, all my friends and family were there, and getting to share that night with and share memories with people who mean something to you is brilliant. That and promotions, I think, is up there. You know, you can't replicate them feelings because it's not something you can buy. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, definitely them three, the two promotions and the qualification. That's probably when I'm done. I'll look back and that's what I'll have the fondest memories of.
Something that's just popped into my head. Of playing against Uruguay. What is it like playing against Luis Suarez?
Yeah, no, I didn't really think of it too much till after the game when I just asked for a shirt and he said no. Yeah, him and Cavani up front. Yeah, it was a learning curve. It was good. Yeah, do you know what I mean? One of them things I'd never thought I'd do when I was younger, like play against some of the best players in the world, and yeah, just thankful really, just to have them opportunities and travel the world doing what I love is it's brilliant.
Yeah, of course. And is there any other sort of memorabilia you've got from your time in football, like maybe your Bristol Rovers debut shirt, or do you sort of give them away?
No, my two Bristol Rovers debut shirts are framed at my mum and dad's house.
Nice.
Then I got my cap behind me, my first cap, and my first start for Wales is framed up over there. And then apart from that, I've just got I got loads in the cupboard and that I've not got round to framing, but there is a couple that I'd like to do. The League Two promotion, Bristol Rovers, and my Charlton debut, more than likely, get them done as well. But as it stands, mate, I got nowhere to put them, so it's pointless.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on, Tom. It's really good to get perspective from a Championship player, because from some people's perspective, it seems like it's gone. There's a bit of a gulf between the players and the fans. That's my last question. Is do you feel that you're connected with the fans as much as you have been? Obviously, I know it's hard to obviously be involved with the fans so much when you're playing, but how do you feel you get on with fans?
Connected too much, mate. You should have seen my inbox after we played Bristol City.
What was that like playing against Bristol City?
No, it's all right. We just wish we'd won.
Yeah.
But no, I think we are connected. I think especially at Charlton. I can't really speak for other players at other clubs, but at Charlton, I definitely feel like there's a lot of respect for the fans and likewise for us. And I've never seen anyone walk past anyone wanting something signed or anything like that. The lads have always got time for the fans. So yeah, no, I don't think that is the case at Charlton.
To be fair, out of all the teams I've seen, Charlton are very very family orientated club. They've got different things going on there.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, it's a good family club, and yeah, it's a pleasure to play for them.
Thank you very much, Tom. Obviously, if you enjoyed the video, please like. If you would like to know more about Tom, please follow him on Twitter, social media, and we will see you in the next one.